Okay. Yeah, so perhaps we should start with a small round of each of us to say like where we're from and what our interests are. I can start very briefly with myself. I'm from Denmark originally. I have a master's degree. I don't have a PhD. I have an academic credentials. I have published 2 journal articles, one in the field of community currencies and one in the field of taxation and blockchain technology with the Danish tax authorities. This is the only one who have some quotations. The other one doesn't really have any quotations. I have also started recently working on the Community Currency Alliance, and my interest in community currency started maybe not kind of from a normal path, because I was working on trust lines. So this was really, at that time, 4 years ago, one of the only projects with both were in the blockchain kind of category or clan, and also really tried to learn from the traditional community currency body of research and so forth. So that's how I got into this field. And yeah, I'll just give the mic to Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I'm unmuted. Yeah, so I would say my background is in IT and psychology, and I actually got exposed to the field of let's say complementary currencies and the new economy during 2017 at the Open Co-op. And also during that time, I met at another event with Arthur Brock from Holochain. So I started digging into Holochain and like doing events and learning to program on Holochain in parallel. And last year, I helped co-organize the conference Rebooting the Web of Trust, which was focused on self-sovereign identity. And this kind of led to me being offered to teach a course at Masaryk University in Brno, which is called Peer-to-Peer Commons and Digital Identity. And it will be very experimental, and I will be learning myself mostly. So putting it together. I didn't do any academic research related to those topics. And currently, to like my most active projects. So actually, the day after tomorrow, I will be presenting to a local municipality in my small hometown, which is like 25,000 people, around complementary currencies. And I want to pitch them that we do a small symposium and invite experts and practitioners and open up the possibility of connecting complementary currency with their smart city agenda or like sharing city agenda. So yeah, I guess that's my main kind of focus now. And then my project here was, I was bringing the promise theory as perhaps one possible way how to, how to make the concepts more rigorous. And yes, so I started stewarding that a few weeks back.
And the mic goes to who?
Oh yeah, also Theodoro.
Okay, I'm really curious about the course you're going to teach, right? The peer-to-peer and digital identities. If there will be online version or something online, I would be happy to follow. Yeah. Okay, so basically I'm originally from Italy, but I'm doing the PhD in Vienna in network science and from the Department of Network and Data Science, with specialization in economic network. Since 2014, I've been volunteering for IJCCR and RAMIX. One is the International Journal on Community Currency Research, and the other is the Research Association on Monetary Innovation and Community Currency Research. Basically, I mean, thanks to this volunteer activity, I was always trying to keep myself updated about what was going on in this field, and And yes, so what else to add? I don't know. Yeah, I published last year an article in Italian with in Italian National Research Council, and yeah, I'm still in touch with them. And about this, I will say something more later, because I see that there are a lot of possibilities, opportunities to collaborate. And yeah, so I pass the word to Sanel.
Thank you. Yeah, so I started my journey with community currencies, I would say embracing research and practice, both at the same time. Because I was finishing my degree in social work, and I went straight into experiences in Spain, one up north and another in Madrid. One more related to city, urban, community currencies mechanisms and economic circuits, and the other more in a rural area. So this was back in 2014, and I didn't know very much about what JCCR or anything related, and the CES. I don't know if you know the CES. It's like a software. Tim Jenkins, we interviewed one of his writers, is be a part of it. So I really like to be involved in La Bellota, and I also was concerned about problems which we were facing in this mutual credit system. So I gave it a individual approach, trying to research and try to solve those problems. And that's how, well, I moved to Edinburgh, where I live now. And I met, I knew, I got to know there was a course in community currencies from University of Cumbria, which was given by Matthew Slater, Leander Bindenwald, and Jen Bendel. So I joined that course. It was basic concepts of community currencies. But I took advantage and I did my first research on how to use the mutual credit system in order to print some notes. So kind of forking the system to create some physical notes that people can use and not depend on just the virtual system. So yeah, this was quite interesting research. I discovered some communities which were doing something similar. Time went by, I forgot a little bit of community currencies. I started working for homeless people here in Edinburgh. And then 2 years after, I came back again with a different research question. This time was about the limits of the mutual credit systems. In La Bellota in Guadalajara, we were very concerned about producing debt and what were the limits of this debt, or how can we do in the community to produce credit to actually cover the debt. And we were facing a kind of a, who knows why this was a problem, but we were like facing this like it was a very terrible problem that is gonna ruin the system. And our assumptions weren't too far away, actually. What I discovered is that there have been around the world experiences which hi Valentin. I'm just finishing my introduction, and then I guess we'll pass you the word. So yeah, I researched on these limits for and this was what I took to Japan. And then in Japan, I met many people, and I took advantage, and I thought, okay, let's try to research now on what are the common narratives, what are the concepts right now in community currencies, and what are the things that worry to most of the people who are leading the research. So that was pretty much my research for this master. I discovered some things that are published, and I think in the next month I will try to write it a little bit better, because there are some, it's a little bit unorganized, but yes, some couple of things I discovered along the way. But I'm done with that. I finished that research, and now I am here open to collaborate with this group.
Thank you. And Valentin, are you still with us? Otherwise, Sanel, one question, when you make it public would be very interesting. I think the narrative topic, that's something that Brett Scott and Jessica is working a lot on. So I think that would be very helpful to see that point.
Okay, I think soon it will be. I was just waiting for the experts to allow me to mention their name in the acknowledgement session. And I have all the permission except for one expert who prefers to be anonymous. So it's going forward.
Okay. So Valentin, you're coming right in time for our introduction round here as the last guy. Perfect timing.
Yes, nice. I just missed the interesting parts of your introductions.
That's true, but actually Sanel proposed we record this, so we can always just like put it on 5 times speed after them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry for me being late. I've been in the gym with a friend and I lost the time. No better excuse for me.
Flow.
Yeah, my involvement in CC and in research, because this is a research group, we do this community currency called Social Coin in Siegen, and I do my research project about it. Part of it will be my master thesis that is pending for a year or something, because I wanted to make it an interesting topic, and I might actually make a PhD out of it. PhD plans are not that sure right now, but the research question is a social empirical evaluation of the influence of this social coin to the intrinsic motivation of volunteers. So you have to know the design of the social coin. It's a relatively poor city district with 9,500 people living in it. And the people will get the social coin for voluntary work. And they will be able to rent out one electric car, 2 electric bikes, 1 electric scooter, for 15 years old, and 1 or 2 of this scooters that you can stand on. I don't know the difference between, the wording difference between them. So they get it for voluntary work. They can spend it for electric mobility. This is the design. And I do, we started on Friday. It's an exciting time. We have 31 applications right now, which feels like a great success to me. It would be great to have 100 at the 20th of September, which is in 2 weeks. And I will ask them to fill out a questionnaire. Then I will randomize 2 groups, like the test group and the control group. And the test group will be able to participate in the social coin, and the control group will be on something like a waiting list. I'm not sure how I will phrase it. And after 3 months, I will do another round of questionnaire. And I hope the control group, on the waiting list, is still motivated enough to fill out the questionnaire. Yeah, and then I see how many hours they worked voluntarily, and ask them about the motivation and stuff. And I mean, of course, I'm as objective and scientific as possible, but there's a big part of me that hopes that the social coin has a positive impact on the intrinsic motivation. Yeah, that's me.
Thanks a lot, Valentin. I can see Theodora here ask if is the website the socialcoin.com, or is that another one?
Yeah, no, it's another one.
Okay.
It's very generic. It's this.
Yeah, I have two questions. Well, like one is the website, and the other is which PhD are you doing?
Well, okay. I'm like, okay. First, the website. Like I am the main worker in this project, and I program the app, and I have to do social media marketing. There is not a really great website, especially not for external people that want to have information about the social coin, because this was very low in my priority list. There is a website which is online for a few days where people can register. And there's a German, video which tells like which is actually a marketing video, which like tells like which gives the user the benefits and why they should participate in Celsa website. And I'm in the master of pluralist economics. So I studied economics like the regular, the mainstream neoclassical economics, and I studied pluralist economics in the master in Siegen. Which I can highly recommend to German-speaking students. As I said, the PhD is not clear. Well, I won't participate in the PhD program because I'm employed and I started this company where I want to like offer technical solutions for community currencies. A scholarship, I might not be eligible for a scholarship. Yeah, there's no real program. Like I just have to discuss with my professor about my PhD thesis. Yeah.
But it will be PhD in economics. I mean, Department of Economics. Okay,
Yes.
cool. So I mean, you're familiar already with the causal inference, macroeconometrics, and this stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So guys, I thought now the introduction is done. And everyone except Valentin knows everyone. Maybe it would make sense if we just like try to crowdsource a small agenda for this meeting. Say if we have specific points, specific research or specific ideas. I know you have an idea, Theodora, for example, with this proposal. I can say a little bit about, I think we're going to go on Friday to the Freiburg Research Institute and talk with, as I wrote with Enno Schmidt. That's a bit open-ended. They have this UBI Research Institute, and we have been discussing about collaboration there. For example, that's 2 points we could have on the small agenda, but do you guys have some other things you would like to discuss today? There was the whole story about the grant, for example. How is that going to be put out, allocation of that? And I'm sure we all have many questions for each other about our work, but yeah. Or do you have any other proposals or ideas how we should do this?
I'd like to listen to other proposals, and then from there, maybe I can chip in or collaborate and see.
Yes, if I also would like to understand better, because as long as understood, everyone is involved in some specific research project, or has some ideas. So I would like to know which kind of research ideas you have, and maybe I will talk because I didn't talk about my research project at all. So maybe we can do, if you agree, of course, we can do a round so everyone talks about your research ideas and also maybe your expectation of collaboration with other people and also in this group, if you agree.
Yeah, sounds fine to me. I don't have a lot to contribute on that front, but happy to listen also.
Yeah, I can start with that idea if you want. So yeah, I also I share a similar opinion than Teodoro. We came here because we kind of proposed research idea to be funded by Community Currency Alliance, but then the result was Community Currency Alliance make their own proposal and put the names of 3 of us in there, And the proposal, I think, is kind of similar to something that I was thinking about, which was to understand a little bit what is going around community currencies. Or let me just check that info here, which is Research Best Practices is the title. This research focus group focuses on the production of knowledge about money in all its forms and functions, the theories which underpin it, as well as the designs that implement them in different parts of the world. Whether it's constructing a grammar of currency designs, modeling of currency system, or the writing of academic papers, this group should be broad enough to fit critically studies on community currencies in action. Yeah, I think it's like a broad topic where I think different approaches can fit
very
into
broad,
that.
very generic.
Yeah.
So generic, everything fits in there almost in the community currency.
Yeah, I think that's the most tricky part actually, to go down to earth and see actually what can be researched, what can be done here. And my background, or what I was doing and just recently, was to understand a little bit of the narrative of the experts and what are the curiosities and what are the problems community currencies are facing. So I don't know if I can contribute with that, but I don't know actually.
To me, Sanel, this sounds very relevant. What we have also, because like what we have done is we have put on a survey, and there we have got more or less 50 people responding now, also to what they see as the blockers and so forth. This is not like a super heavy academic survey. Maybe it's not like qualifying enough, but at least we have some indicators there. And then we have people like Brett Scott and Jessica, the woman from Canada, who are very interested in taking action on narrative. So I think your research on having already now interviewed people like, as you said, Tim Jenkins or other expert, that's very valuable and definitely within scope here, I would say. And personally, if you're going to write a paper about this, I'm also happy to contribute, and I'm sure some of the other people are. That would be just my initial reaction, yeah, to that proposal. But maybe someone has another opinion. The question is then, of course, is that going to be like how many papers are we going to fund and so forth, and who's going to be the first author of those, and who's going to take the lead of that? And I guess in this case, when you already are starting on it, it's kind of natural that you take the lead on it, and then it's more a question of then are there going to be a total of 2 papers, so it's going to be half of the $1,000 initially for each, or 3 papers, for example, and then 1/3. And so yeah, that would be my initial response. I don't know if it makes sense to you what I'm saying.
Yeah, it makes sense. It would be interesting to know other people's ideas. Jacob, for example, what he was proposing on promise theory.
I have a question of understanding. So Sanel, like, what was your initial idea? Like, what you really would like to do in this research group, or what was your research idea originally, and what you would like to do? What is your main interest? Like in a very short. I mean, I don't. I know maybe it's more complicated, but maybe in a very
yeah. So my initial idea was something similar to what Community Currency Alliance wrote in the blog. Something very broad. It's something like, what are the problems? How can we pin down community currencies and things like that? But as I went into the research, I discovered that that message that the experts were giving me, there were important bits and things important to highlight. One of them was the need for improving finance and funding structures. And this is already, there is evidence in the narratives of all experts that this is an important need to cover. And I think this is one of the most important findings from this research. Is already there. Are people who are leading the community currency research, who says that funding and finance structure is something that is not helping the community currencies movement. I went a little bit deeper into that assumption. I asked them, if you have to decide what to fund, what to put money to, if you have to decide between specific projects or a structure, which one would you decide? And they were kind of divided. Half of them agreed it was more important structures, and half of them agreed it was more important projects, and the other half neither agree nor disagree. So I think it's an interesting topic, but if something can be taken out of this research would be to voice this message a bit louder and try to direct it towards, I don't know, people who can give money for community currencies. That could be one of the results, that could be one of the things. But there are other many things from there. For example, the debate around interoperability. It was quite interesting what experts are thinking about why it's good to do interoperability. Is it feasible? Is it not? There are some assumptions, some things there that actually are touching a little bit the surface, but I think it's already a beginning. Other things like convertibility, I think it's a hot topic as well in community currencies. Is it convertibility something desirable? Is it something good? Is it something that actually is not helping the idea of community currencies? So it is a bit on the surface, but I think there are some starts there.
Thank you. Okay, I have maybe another question, but maybe we can finish the round. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I'm really, I think it's a really interesting topic, and if you want to discuss more detail, I'm also doing helping some researchers in Italy that are doing a kind of mapping for the CCS in Italy, and in this mapping they're using a survey, and okay, my suggestion was to use also some social network analysis, because it was interesting to understand in this survey how people get involved in these projects, and also to understand this kind of hierarchy that you may have in this organization, and eventually how this hierarchy can change if we decide to do this survey, I don't know, every 2 years, for example. And also the external influencers, how these external influencers can affect the internal organizations and the internal decision making. So eventually I have I'm open eventually to, if you decide to do this survey as Gustav suggested, I'm happy to give my contribution on this aspect, if you want, of course.
Yeah, no, definitely. Send me any information, any link. I'm happy to take a look, and if there is an idea, that'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. On this topic, I can just share some ideas that I'm working on. They are sort of research related. I'll just share my screen here now. So one thing is, you probably all know the report People, Power, Money that Leander was leading, and they had some quite big surveys at the time, which they circulated to some of the projects, mostly in EU. And the ideas there in this topic here, this is the legal and tax framework. So my motivation for this is to learn today, or like to offer some kind of service for people who want to start a community currency, and that this work has been started here. Go out, we're gonna ask a series of questions, and they're based on the categorizations of the CCIA project. And then in the end, the MVP is just a spreadsheet, but then we would like to auto-generate an answer saying, if this is collateralized and this and that, it's probably these things you should be aware of. And then in the end, also link to the project, which we have surveyed. And the initial projects that, for example, we have in the Community Currency Alliance right now are some of these here, probably more. And then, of course, this wouldn't be a perfect like legal suggestion, but still, when I started doing a community currency 4 years ago, it was we have seriously paid a lot of lawyers a lot of money, and it didn't get us very far. So the intention is not to do like a terms and condition generator or anything like this. It's to get some indications on is this e-money, is this collateralized, and then in the end also have a reference to a project saying this is similar to Sardix, or this is similar to this project. So that's something I'm working on. We have a CCA legal group with this, where we have some lawyers from Spain and some of my ex-colleagues from a German company called Brainbot, and we are working on doing this. I just wanted to let you guys know. I'm bringing this up now because on the survey topic, this could be very relevant too, to kind of align that on the survey topic in some sense. What I also want to do, and this sounds like a lot too, but this is something I discussed with Theodora about, is basically if we have just like a little bit more indexing on this here, Matthew Slater also proposed something in the forum, then I and a friend can pretty easily make that into like a web interface with like a Google Maps, where you can see the different projects around the world, community currencies, and you can kind of have some very basic searching, Is it because we just need to add a little bit more categories, and then we can start providing that too. And this is also as a way to kind of, if I want to start something in Denmark or Brazil, I could see, okay, there are already someone in Brazil doing it, to just create this awareness. So as you can hear, the goal here for me is not necessarily to do research papers. It's more to do some kind of small services or software products. But I just wanted to let you guys know that's kind of what I'm working on right now. And this could also be research projects more heavily or be combined with a survey, for example, some of this, I would guess. But yeah, let's just stop sharing again here.
Is that not similar to the database Matthew Slater was kind of thinking of?
Definitely it is. And I know Theodora has access to a database too. Matthew Slater has access to a database. We basically will try to combine all the different databases there are already. And then there will need to be made some decisions on the index criteria. And that's basically it, right? And then I think we will also set up some kind of curation system. It could just be like GitHub, for example, that you would add it on GitHub. There will be as a pull request on GitHub, and then all of us, for example, could be admins, and we would approve it just to make sure, because there are some little bit like this already, but none of them are really up to date or maintained. So in the end, then it's useless if you have a list of 100 projects, and which I look through sometimes, and none of them will really seem to be that active anymore. But yes, this is definitely the exact same thing as Matthew Slater, and I think his indexing is quite good too. So I would also try to use some of those variables and then see the database you have access to, Theodora and so forth. How is that? Also, Stephen the Millionaire from complementarycurrency.org also have a database. So that work is kind of to synchronize those one, agree on standards, and then do sort of a 2020 Google Maps interface, that you could kind of see where it is also.
Yeah, I really like this idea. And also, I mean, I see a real use case, like in mapping and listing and having a actualized, like a current updated list. And I love the idea of like getting this kind of terms of service generator, which is of course not a legal advice, but this is a very sexy idea. And yeah, my proposal was to develop a categorization system for community currencies, which I find, does not really exist. And yeah, so yeah, I see like this list, and then this economic categorization and like this legal categorization. So I see like now I see like three projects, and yeah, I really love all of them. So I would work, or like would like to participate. Yeah, cool idea.
And of course, we cannot do it all at the same time. This is just like some ideas, and just the one that is most mature is probably like the legal framework we started on.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest part with this, with the list of communities, it's mostly a diplomatic task, I think, to agree with Matthew Slater and Stephen and everyone what are the standards and the index.
Yeah.
It's technical. It's I have some developer friends. I could pay them $200 and it's done. You know, it's more synchronizing on the data there. But yeah.
Yeah, and well, I mean the framework. I mean there won't be. I don't think there will be one framework for all. I mean, like science is not about like having one opinion. But like for me and like my scientific path, I would see this economic framework in 2021, actually. So next year. So like if we can agree on like writing or like researching in this area, then at least the economic part could be like postponed to 21, because like this would be something that I would like actually put my PhD energy into. Yeah. And you are quite. You said the legal categorization system is quite mature.
It's, I would not say quite mature, but we had a. So what I did now to try to make this movement grow more is we have created these dedicated work groups, and we also have a CCA legal group, and I got us contacted with the organization Blockchain for Humanity, because they already started a community currency legal group and summoned something like 20 people for that. But they wasn't really sure what to do about it, and I pitched the idea for them with this framework, and they think it's a good idea. So what then, we have 2 lawyers which are Spanish lawyers, and what they we had a call with Leander also, and they agreed there was not a lot of empirical findings on Spain in the CCIA project, so they are going to make sure to have like what we have for France and Germany and so forth from the CCIA. They are going to do the same for Spain. And then Leander had a disclaimer saying the regulation in the payment regulation PSD2 might have changed some of these things. So a next step was also on that front to get involved with some of the people who helped doing it back then and try to get an assessment what have changed since then. And if that's the case, then at least we have a pretty good legal framework as like a basis for EU defined. In the meantime, me and my friend Luis from BrainBot, who is, he's not a lawyer, but he's a son of a lawyer, and he kind of works as a lawyer, I would say, even though he wouldn't agree and it's not legal advice. He knows a lot about that stuff, and we have consulted a lot of legal experts on this topic before, especially in Germany, but EU. And I think we are going to move forward with just like what I just showed you, this spreadsheet generator. And then we can always update it, because of course it's going to be very simplistic categories at the beginning. But just to kind of, so that's the update on that one. And we decided to put it into the Community Currency Accelerator because we saw the energy there. And this other thing that I mentioned about the overview of the different projects, we didn't put that in the accelerator now, just because like we thought better keep it smaller, the scope, and make sure that the things on that list is going to get done, you know. But it doesn't mean we cannot start doing that too. But you can just see this thing about the database of the projects and so forth. We didn't put that as part of the accelerator right now, but that's just like our mental capacity, basically. It doesn't mean we cannot start that work too. I would say it depends where the motivation and energy is.
There's 2 questions about the list. Like you have 30 community currencies in it?
In this list, about that, but this is not totally up to date. I think this is just me I did this list in the beginning when I started creating CCA with Julio, and then I have updated a little bit, but I'm sure we could go, you know, more systematic approach. We could ask everyone and map everyone and pretty.
Do you know about Matt Sled's list? How much does he have?
I'm not totally sure, no.
And I think this
open credit network, and then there are he has the community forge. But what I know about a lot of those are that they are the old school mutual credit networks, and I also know that some of those are not really they're not really active anymore. I would prefer to have a very small list with not a lot of projects, and then we just make it as a flow like GitHub or whatever, where we can update it all the time. But rather have a smaller list that we know is up to date than a huge list with all kind of stuff where, oh shit, it's actually not accurate anymore.
Yeah, I understand this, but the next question would be like, it seems like you are actually in contact with most of them.
I'm in contact with all of them, yeah.
So I mean, this is a cool new thing, right? Like this international network.
Yeah. That's what we're trying with CCA, is to create this neural network or like connection between all the projects, you know? So at least it's only one point of contact away if you want to talk with or learn from another project or collaborate with another project, which everyone can do, of course.
Yeah. Okay, but this is actually not research, so okay.
That depends how you frame it. I mean, you could definitely frame it as research if you want to.
Yeah.
But as I say, personally, if I could choose a research article about this or a working product where we have this, I know what I would choose, because that's just my personality, and I just want to have this, you know, interface and play with it and so forth, because I'm a software guy. But
one of the parts of my research kind of stepped into identifying different community currencies experiences in the eyes of the experts. So how I did this was asking the experts first, what do they consider are the important parts of a community currency, and this is kind of stepping into categorization or structure or typologies, a little bit of organizational structure. And then a second question was, which community currencies or which projects do you consider are good examples of those parts you are thinking of importance for projects? And I came also out with 18 projects the experts were referring to. Interestingly, the World Bank was mentioned by 4 experts out of 9, and then other different projects. But this might be also a way of researching into this database, because as you said, you don't want all of them. You don't. In fact, who wants all of the projects? Why to have such a big number? They are disappearing, they are appearing, they are very small, they don't evolve, they just are, I don't know, an experience, an idea. So I think the idea of a database is why a database, why to have them there, and what would be the purpose of it.
So like very specifically, if I then take this software maximalist approach, so what I imagine then, if you see this legal framework and you go through this, you just have a web page, you say what it is, boom, boom, boom. Then we would then link you to the overview page of the projects that matches the one that you've been doing, like the one that you say you're going to do. So that's a direct way. Someone who wants to do a new currency, who have said it's just 100% mutual credit, no collateral at all, no convertibility, no interoperability, I am in the EU, and then check, boom, the next you submit, and then the next page is going to be the same search criteria are now crossed off, and you now have the search in the database showing, these projects are doing this, and they have this legal setup, for example. This is one use case of this where I can see them together. I'm sure there could be many other ways of use cases of just having this overview of it. But I think what you said, Sonel, makes a lot of sense, that it's that could be one way to have these archetypes, or like you have the categories, and then you also have this like a little bit like discourse analysis, or like what are people perceiving as being a good example of a specific category. All right, yeah, that can definitely be one approach. It could also be design science article about developing this database that's more non-academic kind of research approach, but that's more like an IT university kind of approach. Construct that. But again, what I said here, it doesn't have to be research. I just wanted to fill you in that these are my priorities right now, working on these things here. These two things I said, and also with Will Rudik and the other people in the padlock community, I'm also quite engaged in making sure we have a specification for this, that we have a development team, that we have designers, and that we are going to develop this small pilot of a virtual community inclusion currency. So it's just like saying that's what I'm working on, and all of this doesn't have to be research at all.
Okay, as long as understood, there is, yeah, like there are different perspectives on how much in depth we want to go on in this survey, and what is the output that we are expecting. I put here some, in any case, some quotes, some citations that maybe can be interesting, also because I have to go at 8:30. I have another meeting, so maybe we can, if you agree, we can keep going. Also because I wanted to talk with you about the cost, and I think it's because it can be interesting for all of you. Yeah. Okay, Jakub and Sugo. So I don't know, what do you prefer? I'm really curious about all the other research ideas from Jakub and Valentine. Valentin or Valentine? Valentine. Okay, no, it doesn't matter. If you wanna say something about this, about your research ideas and about your main interests.
So I can say some bits, because I will probably be leaving a bit after 8. I'm not sure what's the time frame of the call, but I think I'm coming from a bit different place, or like focus on a bit different part of the space. And I think why I'm not sure if any one of you had any chance to like skim through the promise theory, especially the article "Promise Theory Applied to Money." Did any one of you had a chance to check it out, at least in some way? Yeah. So yeah. So the idea was that
on the surface.
Yeah, I can reshare the link afterwards. But the idea was that since I'm a part of like different communities, yeah, I'm working with Matthew Slater and Dill in their mutual credit services, and I'm working with Holochain, and I also went through the token engineering value flows course. So it gives me quite a bit of insight in like the different discourses, let's say, or different conceptual frameworks, or like terminology that people use when describing their models. And also it was occurring to me that there is a lot of kind of attempts to start formalizing or finding ways how to capture the core ideas and mechanisms in a at least semi-formal way. And this came from Matthew Slater, this was coming from John Waters, this was coming, yeah, I mean, in token engineering group, it's very much developed, like their adaptive stocks and flows diagrams. And so there is like a lot of different initiatives trying to find some shared language through which to describe different models. And when I was speaking with Mark Burgess, because I was inviting him, he's the author of Promise Theory, so I was inviting him to a conference in Prague before COVID. And when I started speaking about this work with like Matthew and Arthur Brock, and so the people started getting interested, and they were like, oh, that would be cool to discuss with him and to perhaps have some workshop. So this was how it started, and I started like pulling the people together who showed like expressed interest. And it was kind of an organic process of like, oh yeah, so let's explore whether this could give us some language that could help at least like not unify, but help clarify some primitives or patterns in a like semi-visual way, let's say, and not just visual, but semi-formal way. And so the proposal I was putting there is a kind of work in progress, organic record of what's happening now. And my original idea was that if actually we found that this is a useful way to explore, then Mark was saying that he would be, he might be able to co-author a paper and perhaps taking different models and like framing and some like visualizing the components through the promise theory lens. So that could be one of the outputs. And my personal, what I wanted also, like this is my personal, this is not that much of research thing, but I wanted to use promise theory to formalize some of the concepts for holochain, like how to actually develop those on holochain. But that's probably a bit outside of the scope of this, but perhaps not that much, because Will Rudik wants to also talk to Art and start like working on specs on holochain. But yeah, that's probably outside of the scope of the group right now.
Not necessarily. I mean, holochain is doing a lot of community currency stuff too. So I would say it doesn't have to be out of scope at all.
Yeah, and
Jacob,
like,
for this article, are you looking for people to write it with you, the promise theory, or how? What kind of support are you looking for?
I think the first, I mean, still, I think it's important to do like one step earlier, and that's just doing an open discussion with Mark. Then I'm gonna be doing small discussions with Mark, Matthew, Michael Linton, Mark, Will Rudik, and Art Brock, just like a small aquarium. So this is already being planned, just to kind of speak about those concepts and then make it public. And then I think that would be the point where we will see whether it's actually useful to start planning an article or planning some more hands-on education. But I think this is the stage, just like to really start some discussions and record it and make it public, or Q&As. And I didn't go for like, grant is not my main priority. I mean, it would be great afterwards, perhaps, if the article is being written, but like for this stage, it's not, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if there was some free funds, then that would be great to cover some of the Mark's expenses or other expenses, but it's not like my main motivation.
What makes promise theory so relevant to community currencies? And have you considered other different theories?
I haven't, because I just focused on this one as like, because I know that there is a lot of different theories, a lot of different frameworks, and I don't want to get myself lost in all of those. So I've chosen this one as a, I mean, I've never seen more precise and more in-depth exploration of money in such a precise terms. And this seems to be resonating from like the complementary currency pioneers. So that's the reason, which is kind of reinforcing my, yeah, but it's still, I mean, it's intuition. I just want to explore. We will see, perhaps it's not the great way. And I don't also want to say that should be universal. It's just like perhaps one language or one way how to conceptualize stuff. You know?
Because maybe it's there is a scope for widening the perspectives and maybe including other possibilities of theoretical frameworks. I don't know, because, well, I see that you are very focused on promise theory and it seems interesting, but I wonder if focusing on just one theoretical framework and not exploring others might be underlooking other possibilities. In my research, sorry, just quick. In my research, I took advantage, because my research is very wide. So I took advantage. Now that I'm talking with 9 people, I ask them everything. So one of the questions precisely was, what are the theoretical frameworks you are using to apply to community currencies? And there were no more than 5 different ones. Commonly, I identified the ideas from Bernard Litter and also the integral theory, something that I never heard before.
So can you repeat that one?
Integral theory.
Oh, it's like Wilbur and
yes,
okay.
yes, but specifically applied to the study of economics. So Christophe Place was the one who was researching with this framework. I also got the typical from CCA. CCA is people, power, money, and these things. Ostrom and other authors of the Commons and evolutionary economy and some others I don't recall, but yeah.
There's also this categorization that's also used by this United Nations Development Agency article about Bangladesh. It's the value sequence typology of money, which is nice categorization too. You know, the past money, present money, the future money. Yeah, it's just another one.
Yeah, and I agree that it can be it can be very useful to like include other frameworks, but I don't have the competence, B, I don't have the capacity, and C, I believe it's useful to just like focus on one theory and then perhaps relate it to others, because if I started including all other things, then I would never get anything done, and this way I think I can explore at least something in a thorough way with the others. Yeah.
So Valentine is going maybe.
Yeah, sorry, I've got another call. I thought this would be a 1 hour call. Yeah, thank you very much. And also I have a lot of open tabs that I'm very happy to read afterwards. Gustav, what was the last theory you mentioned?
This is this value sequence typology of money. It's in this. It's in one of the first research papers about Bangladesh.
Okay.
Yeah.
They also wrote a pseudo-academic article about it.
Cool. They have to go. The link is here in the chat.
I'm just putting in a Telegram also. Valentin.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
There we go.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure, and yeah, let's talk soon, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, talk soon. Thank you.
We're gonna change the world.
Yeah.
Take care. Yeah. But we need more women and other people too. we're all like men from Europe and the same age.
yeah. At least we are young men. Usually, like the community currency men are like super old.
Yeah.
See you.
See you. Jacob, I was thinking if I don't know if you are comfortable with this, but if you say you are going to have these exploration interviews with the people, we could also make videos out of it if you want, just to like maybe other people want to learn about that too. If you want to, we could definitely set that up. It looks like Jacob is frozen now. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, maybe it's frozen.
But I was thinking like, it seems to me like the survey is really an important thing, to do a survey, and from this survey we can probably do a lot of different stuff. Sound like to me what you also mentioned with the survey, Theodore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like in this period, of course, I cannot follow many things, but if we don't have deadlines and we can start working with our pace, let's say, I mean,
we set the deadline ourselves. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want, I guess I can talk a bit about this cost, and then so if you have a question, I don't know if you want to. There is something else in agenda or.
To me, that's definitely very important.
Okay.
What I feel from this meeting is that we have many ideas, but we didn't really agree on specific next steps yet. You know, maybe the survey, maybe not. Jacob promised theory of money. It's not totally clear to me what's going to happen too, but that's okay. I mean, it's a process also. But to me, definitely the cost thing. I'm very excited to hear what is it about.
Yeah, because I think it's really related to this, because in any case, to participate in a cost, and if everything goes well and we got the funding, is also a way to, the main purpose of the cost is networking. So that is what we are already doing here, but maybe in a more formal way, with formal presentations and so on. And in order to do this, of course, we can rely on the financial possibilities that that the cost can give. I want to share my screen if I can.
Yeah, it's like in the middle and the.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Green. Yeah.
Host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Oh. I disable it. Oh. I can make you the host then.
Yeah, co-host maybe. Okay. Cool.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Okay. I will try to be as much clear as possible. Can I? Okay. So this is the draft that we are working on so far with the Italian National Research Council, and the abstract and introduction are basically taken from my thesis. So sorry, from a thesis, from a research proposal for the PhD research proposal. But it's not that interesting. I mean, all things that you already know. Of course, in the introduction is more focused on assessment framework, because my research topic is in quantitative assessment framework of community currency systems. And here I cited also as qualitative assessment framework the Christopher Place method that you can find in this paper that he published in 2018. So cost, as I said, is basically financing conferences, workshops, training schools, and what else? Short-term scientific missions and dissemination activities. But the main purpose is networking. So the cost cannot finance, for example, startup, or cannot finance directly people, but can finance institutions, and it's mainly based on refunding. So, for example, if we organize a conference, we can have the refund of our expenses and organizational expenses, and also people who participate to this conference can get a refund for food, accommodation, and travel expenses. So it's so the mechanism is this. So there is no financing of directly financing of projects, but there is this kind of it's of a refund for cultural activities. And my idea so far was so these are the general objectives we are thinking about. So there is, I will say, one more practical aspect, one more practical objectives. That is the first one, local sustainable economic development projects using community currency systems. And the second one is more about research and development, also related to technologies. And the specific objectives are indeed these ones. So you have quantitative and qualitative impact assessment, agent-based modeling, open source ICT development, legal and tax framework, preliminary data collection for community currency systems, and good practices exchange. And and this is, I will say, the starting point. Based on this starting point, so based on these objectives, we are thinking about 4 branches. The first branch will be about RAMIX conferences, of course. And this, so that means that in 2021 and 2023, there will be a budget that will be just dedicated to RAMIX conferences. The second one is this European network of existing community currency systems. And here we already contacted these 5 projects, because we think that these 5 projects are a very interesting project in which there is open collaboration with the local governments. And we want to, how to say, highlight this bridge between local governments, local governments or any local policymakers and local projects. Then we contacted the summer school on alternative economic and monetary systems that is mainly organized by Boku. But behind this summer school, there is another amazing network that I will say grow up very far from the RAMIX world, and it's interesting. It's a very nice opportunity this to bridge this summer school that was co-founded by Bernard Letter and the RAMIX world. And the 4th branch we were thinking about, at least I suggested, is this word that is growing from the bottom up, that is the CCA. And so, like, now my suggestion is that CCA can work on a description of what they can do, for example, with this budget that is 20,000 euros per year. But there is the 20,000 euros, but the cost allows to fund only 10,000 per event. So organizational costs must be maximum 10,000. Then you can use the other money to cover travel expenses, accommodation, and food, and etc. Anyway.
And does these things have to be like physical, or it can be virtual workshops or interviews or content, stuff like that? Or
yeah, this is up to you. What I will ask you is a kind of detailed budget plan or provisional budget plan, of course, but because the problem is that we can give 10,000 only to refund invoices. And this is one aspect. The second aspect is, of course, if you save money because you don't pay for travel expenses and accommodation, you can do a lot more events. So instead of doing 2 events of 10,000 euros, for example, you can do, I don't know, you can do 20 events as long as the cost is within 10,000 events per event, 10,000 euros per event. I don't know if it was clear, this.
I mean, I hope there's no exam, but I think I get it. I mean, it's refund of expenses. There are maximum of 10,000 euros per event.
Yes.
So it has to be actual expenses we do have. And I also assume those expenses would have to be like, it looks weird if I don't know if we would say we do it virtually and there are invoices from the people who executed the workshops. I don't know if that would work or not, but I get the intention is to host, traditionally speaking, I guess, physical workshops, a physical place. You rent some, you have invoice from the rent, you have invoice from the, as you say, food or catering, transportation and all this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I totally have the ideas of what the proposal would be right now, but it's definitely an interesting idea. And then
yeah, for example, I don't know, like you already have the CCA legal group, and this legal group can organize a presentation or a public presentation. And in that case, you can use this money to organize this public presentation. So what I will ask, as you see, the cost lasts for 4 years. So at the moment, I put to 20,000 euros because since I'm talking with you, but I will talk also with the other groups, because in this moment we have 4 branches. But then we will see if I will say that in this moment we used a provisional budget plan that is really, how to say, strict. But we will see if there will be more funding. Of course, we will see after. After we had a lot of other meetings at the end of the month, maybe before submitting the proposal, we will see. Anyway, like what I'm asking now is that you give me this information. For example, you decide the partnership. This is important because the cost cannot give money to individuals, but only to institutions. So it's important that you define the partnerships that will work on this project.
And this has to be entities.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And 50% of them you said had to be within EU of those entities.
Yeah. This now I will say something about that.
Okay.
And the working group is basically we will be the coordinator per each workshop. But you can put also, if you have extra volunteers, you can put more names in this working group. This is totally up to you. This description is I will say the most important thing in this moment, because of course I don't think they expect some very detailed, for example, budget plan. But the description, yes. So the description must be clear in what you want to achieve and how this is in line with the specific objectives I told you about. And finally, this detailed expected budget. So, for example, like here in the working group, since as long as I understood, there are already some working group, maybe Gustav, you can try to explain them and what I told you, or I can help you in this. But since there is already some content, maybe you can report this content in the description, and the coordinator of the working groups already existing, maybe they can help you in this. And as I said, in the partnership, it will be better if we maintain in each branch. So in the CCA branch, we maintain this equilibrium. I can show you here. I think here it's about the training school. Maybe I close it. Okay, never mind. In any case, maybe in the Telegram group I published the link where to see the country, because in general the whole cost action has to maintain this 50%.
Just link it now to you and tag you in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Here, yeah.
That's also not a problem. I think the biggest problem for me is to try to imagine what kind of description of proposal is that is most within the scope of what they think. We could both do some stuff that are purely virtual, you know, in a sense, this is what we already are doing with the community currencies now calls. We could also do some that are more, I should say, more like one presentation, one person or something like this. What I also wanted to start to, I think community conscious now is very kind of top down in a sense, you know, it's like experts, researchers, there's a lot of words being used that is very hard for normal people to understand. And I would like to do something that is different as well. I think about calling it like community first currencies or something like this. And there we would, I have a list of projects which are like normal communities, so to speak, which wants to create a local currency or have created it. And then they would tell about what they have learned and their stories and something like this. And I don't know if something like this would be relevant for this, for example, or if we should do like physical events. It's a bit hard with Corona and all this, and I think we are maybe also better at the digital. But yeah, that's for me. I can definitely fill it out. It's just the biggest. It's just this. Yeah. Did you have any specific things in mind you thought would be fitting for us to do? We could also do specific workshops, like select a community and work with them to make sure that they get the help to set up a community currency. You know, we have all the experts ready for that too. That's also more like a hands-on workshop. I think we could do a lot of different stuff. The question is just to me, like what fits best to the people who are gonna review this, you know, what do they understand? What do they think is relevant?
Yeah, I mention other funding,
sorry.
Gustav.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Because Gus also mentioned another possible funding. Did you?
Yeah, I mentioned the Freiburg UBI Research Institute, which might also be able to fund a specific set of research in, I think, specifically software technologies for UBI and alternative currencies and something like this. And it's a little bit of, I think sometimes it's a blurred line between UBI and community currencies. It can be a little bit hard. It can be different, sometimes at different groups, but some UBIs, like Circles, for example, is a community currency also, I would say. A mutual credit in some sense. I don't know if everyone has specific like spending capacity. I don't know if that's UBI too, but yeah, we are talking with them, and I think I'm going to go there on Friday. It depends a bit on Julio, because Julio is a bit affected by the loss of David Graeber, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it. He was a good friend of him. But yeah, that's another one. And for the funding thing, we have other potential things too. To me, it's just more about what fits, you know, because different funding or grant opportunities have different, as you say, they have different stated goals and priorities of this program, and we should present something that fits within that, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that as specific objectives, open source ICT development, legal and tax framework, preliminary data collection, maybe a bit 50%, but a good practice exchange. So as long as there is some coherence with these objectives, it should be fine. Then we will see. I mean, in any case, don't worry, because the cost is always open. So it's one of the fewest call that is always open. So there is a deadline every 6 months. So if and the good thing is that we receive a feedback. So if the next deadline is the 29th of October, and then we will see, like, we will receive the feedback, and we will see if there is we need a measure revision or not, and we will see. In any case, I think that whatever says, if your priority is, for example, to I don't know, to do an hackathon. If you want to do an hackathon and you want to put developers all together in one place and work.
This I would love, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, you can do it, for example, because it's in line with the open source ICT development for community currency systems, for example. If you wanna put expert in only in one place, you wanna, I don't know, bring a lawyer from Spain, Italy, Portugal, and whatever, you wanna put them in one place for 2 days and work, you can do that with using Cost.
Okay, super.
Yeah, it's a workshop, and I will give you here the details. So for the so this is what you will be interested in reading. So it's the section 7, local organizer support. So which kind of organizational costs can be covered with this cost, and the other session is about meetings. So let me check section here, section 5 and section 4. So what the cost can cover, and who are the beneficiaries of this cost. So like I think I said everything. The most important thing, and I will check. Yes. Yes. Basically, you have to
find this document you have there, and I can only find the other one you sent, which is
I will send now in Zoom.
But that's great, Theodora, and I'm gonna have a look, and I'm gonna write a description proposal this week, for example, and then you can review it if you think that.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I will take your time also to talk with the other working groups, for example, if to the other coordinators. I don't know, as long as understood, for example, there is this CCA law now, legal issues. And I'm pretty sure that Leander will be super interesting in taking part in this. What else? I don't know. Okay, if you have questions.
I think it's interesting to think on what could be the proposal, because all of us, we have different focuses. We are already researching on something. So the thing is, what can we all of us get and put in common? I think for the cost funding, we actually need to say, hey, all this will fit into this idea, this proposal.
Yeah, I think that this is something that you need to discuss in the singular in the all working groups. But for example, also your proposal about challenges, problems, and so on, since you already have some work you have done, it seems a quite a good proposal for a workshop, to organize a workshop, for example, and invite people to bring their own experience, their own personal experiences. I don't know, this is an idea. Then of course it's
So we basically have 5 working groups right now for the CCA, and then how I see it, how I would start the proposal would then be list these 5 working groups. For some of them, we already know what the plans are, and for example, the hackathon would be part of the product work group, you know, like developing something. For the research, then you guys could decide, and that's probably the process, what are the deliverables here. And I think the same for the communication, the same for the other work groups. And then I'm going to bring it up also on the next governance meeting as a chance for everyone to have a say on it. And I'm going to write it also in each of the work groups, basically.
Okay. Yeah, let's keep in touch on this. And I know that, Gustav, you're already amazing to mobilitate people and coordinate and so on. So I think that it was worth to first talk in the research group, also because of course the more scholars are involved, the better it is, because Costa is mainly taught for academics, but as long as there is a good balance, it shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, also like, for example, startups, I mean, from that point of view, it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I would say that we can maybe, you can think about it, and I don't know, you can do brainstorming if you want. I can also participate, I mean, if necessary, next week. Yeah, and yeah, let's keep updated.
But do you see, for example, what we talked about with the survey, for example, and doing the survey and presenting the work, for example, would that be, and hosting qualitative interviews, like Jacob talked about, you know, would that be within the scope, for example, of the research group, potentially? Or they have to be more open network-ish?
Yeah, I mean, you mean a single, I don't know, a single speaker, if you mean a single speaker that present his work?
Yeah, I don't know, like a series of speakers. But like, what I meant with the survey is like, to me, it seems like the survey is a big pillar for the research in general. And we can, if we have a good survey and we think a little bit about what, like we ask about the legal things, we ask about the conceptual things, we ask about some other things. Based on this, we're going to be able to do a lot of work, I think. And I just wanted, like, I just thought we want to align this grant as much with the goals we have for each group anyways, right?
Yeah, I mean, like for the, I don't know, what do you mean? Like for the survey, I don't think that it can be, I don't think it can be financed directly, because yeah, with the cost, with the cost you can do just basically dissemination activities. Yeah. I don't know if I misunderstood the question, but like yeah, like the cost, yeah, is not how to say, it's not directly related to research activities, but indirectly it helps researchers to networks, to do networking, and to yeah, and to present their work and so on. I guess there is another.
The problem for us is that we. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, there is another scheme that works in a bit different way. It is included in the cost, and that is like the training schools. But it is another chapter, another issue.
Okay.
Maybe we can discuss another time. Yeah. And in any case, also the trainers must be selected in a certain way. Like it's a bit more complicated at the beginning, but yeah, of course, if you are able to organize a school, then for example, you can give grants to the trainees. And this is something that I'm discussing already here in Vienna with the summer school on alternative economic and monetary systems. Okay. Because my idea is to open the grants, of course, to the CCA network and to the RAMIX members. So in this case, you, for example, you can apply for these grants and come to this school for free. So, okay. But this is another issue I'm working on with other people, with another branch.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. I really need to go now. I'm really glad to see you again, Gustav. I'm really happy to meet you, Sanel. I think we are also friends in Facebook.
Yeah,
you're like kind of yoga teacher or something,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
right? Cool. So finally,
And
yeah, cool.
Likewise, Theodore, thanks so much for all your work, and it's a great idea. Looking forward to do much more together. And Sanel, whenever your master thesis is public, I would love to read it and yeah, work on other great stuff together.
Cool. Yeah, let's go with the flow. I think it's a difficult thing sometimes to actually pin down what we want to pursue as a team. But yeah, the funding idea is there, and maybe it can help us to decide how to move the forces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep in touch, and hopefully for next week we can arrange another meeting because I will bring some news. Hopefully.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Cool.
We can
Thank you,
check in
guys.
the chat if you want to have the same time next week or 2 weeks or whatever we want. You can see.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we can. Yeah, for me, for example, if we meet in 2 weeks, it should be fine.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah.
I'm
for
gonna
the
try to post
21.
it then. We can see what the reaction is.
Yeah, maybe the only problem is that on Monday night I usually have another meeting.
Okay.
So maybe if we can do another day, or if we can do, I don't know, in the in the first afternoon, early afternoon.
I think it's
But,
probably better to just schedule in there. But sorry, you have to go, Theodore, so I'm sorry to.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Have a
Thank you.
good evening.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Likewise.
Bye bye.
Bye.